to the Million Gold Nuggets podcast, where four women from across North America share real transformative insights on mindset, manifestation, spirituality, and personal growth. Join Leslie, Amber, Jennine, and myself each week for inspiring conversations filled with practical wisdom and powerful life lessons. So grab your favorite drink and get ready to collect the golden nuggets that can elevate your journey. Welcome to the show. I'm Nicole, your host for today. And in this episode, we will be finishing our series on the universal laws. And we are going to be talking about the law of gender, which is super exciting. So I can't wait to see what my beautiful hosts have to say on this topic. But before we dive in, I want to first welcome them. Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing?
Fantastic. Hi. Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Great. Thank you. So good to see you all. And can't wait to hear what you guys have to share on this powerful topic. So before we get into the questions, first, let me tell you a little bit about what the law of gender is. And when we talk about the law of gender, yes, we are talking about masculine and feminine energies, but that's simply what it means. It's the energy, it's not the actual person. So it's not meaning male versus female or man versus woman. It is simply the energy behind it. So the law of gender is a principle that asserts every person and element in the universe contains both masculine and feminine energies. Understanding this law highlights the importance between balance between these energies for personal growth, harmony in relationships, as well as creation. So what type of traits does the masculine energy have? We'll think more assertive, more action driven, more of those types of qualities, logical thinking, structure and order, strength and protection, independence, and making decisions. So all that type of energy. Feminine energy is a lot more nurturing. It's a lot more loving. It's more like the receiving end of things. So think, connecting with your intuition. It's nurturing, creativity, fluidity, like being in flow, collaboration, empathy, and emotional intelligence. So by cultivating both masculine and feminine traits, it leads to greater self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Plus, it empowers us and enhances our personal empowerment and fosters more healthy relationships. So having this balance is super important. So, think about being a little bit lopsided. You're more in the masculine and the do versus the feminine, which is more the relaxed, laid back, nurturing. So let's get into the questions so that these ladies can share their experience with the law of gender. So how has the law of gender impacted your life, ladies? Or how has understanding the law of gender impacted your life?
For me, I was surprised about the law of gender because I hadn't heard very much about it until I started studying it. And it makes so much sense to me because now just knowing what the law of gender is allows me to know that when I have an idea, that's like the feminine side. And then to put that idea into play, to start action on that idea is the masculine. So I have actually, since I've been studying it, it has actually helped me with my procrastination because, I'm always leaning more toward the feminine side. And now just knowing about the law of gender it pushes me to go ahead and take action and on those ideas.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It really is helpful, isn't it, to kind of see the two
Very.
different dynamics, right? Like knowing that the creativity part comes from your feminine side, and in order to make that, a reality, you have to use the masculine, like the action side. So it's like those
Yeah.
dual energies working together to create.
Yeah. And to me, it's been very rewarding just knowing about those two energies, because it has helped me, get out of one mode and into another just by knowing them. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jennine.
I'll piggyback on that too. Like knowing it has changed the way that I feel every day too, because I used to, be so much in the masculine, and I would get so overwhelmed, like a kind of like a full feeling, like I'm gonna burst or something. And I never liked that feeling because I ended up being so tired and everything after it. But once I found out these two different sides, masculine and feminine, now I brought the feminine in. So if I start to feel like I'm too much in my masculine, feeling a little bit overwhelmed, maybe a little stressed or anxious, then I stop and I go and do something that's more feminine. And that's really helped me have more of a balance and to feel better about what I'm doing during the day.
I love that. It's such a powerful tool, right? To be able to pay attention to those things and to understand, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Oh, I might be more in my masculine. Let me try to get more into my feminine and balance those energies. That's beautiful, Leslie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. And so what I do to get into my feminine is I'll go and I'll take a walk. I'll have a cup of tea. I'll just sit there very quietly. I won't do any work. Maybe I might put on a little bit of soft music, close my eyes for a minute. And they all sort of like, it's almost like a calming effect, that feminine side, that nurturing side of us all, right? That, say, like a motherly side that kind of comes into play, saying like, okay, calm down, you're all good, you know, just have a little breather, relax, and then you can go back to doing something that's more masculine, which is like, say, your tasks that you have to do for the day.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like output versus input, almost like you're exerting energy, but then you need to take that time to replenish, right? So you're outputting, action, energy, all that kind of stuff, making decisions, all those types of things. And then, the input part is like, okay, time to fill myself back up again. That's so cool.
So it's really helped me. And there are some days where I just, I kind of shut right down. Like I can't do any masculine, and there's some days where I can't do any feminine. And then other days where I have a balance. So it's just kind of being aware of it, like I'm really in my flow. I'm doing a lot of masculine things right now, or I'm not there to do the things. I'm going to just concentrate today on doing feminine things for myself, to feel good, to feel relaxed, so that I'm more inspired and into what I'm doing with my work.
I love that. And I love how you kind of follow your intuition and your own you're marching to your own beat, right? Seeing what you need in order to get things done and to be productive. And perhaps you do need a day to rest. There is nothing wrong with that, right? Sometimes we go, 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 go. Sometimes we need to rest, 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 rest. So
That's the masculine and the feminine side to it, right?
yeah, exactly. So beautiful. Thanks, Leslie. How about you, Amber? Do you have anything to share?
Um, yeah, I think it's just I think it's coming from a place of like just being and then taking, which is I wouldn't even say it's the feminine, that's more of like the soul, but like just being and then taking the action, which is the masculine, with inspiration, because um there's so much like hustle and grind and push and all these concepts now, that are out there. But it's really the energy in which we're doing it. So if we're flowing through the feminine, we've meditated, we've chanted, we've exercised, right? Kind of whatever gets us into that mode. And then from there, um, we're taking the action, then that's when the energy is going to flow the most, is when we're in that. Um, and so, yeah, kind of like what Leslie said, there's some times where I won't do anything because I've done for so long, being a mom and stuff, like that's kind of what you do. And so sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to do anything, in terms of action, for anything, just because allowing myself to just be is new. So, and sometimes it's okay to just, I'm just gonna sit out here and watch the birds, or, listen to music or something like that. So that's okay.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, and for also like explaining how you use the feminine energy to kind of like get inspired, get into that space, and then take action. It's like using both energies together. It's so much more powerful and impactful using those balanced, energies. And it's like, as you're moving your body towards what it is that you're working on, you're also moving that which you seek towards you by using these two energies together.
Yeah.
How cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So how can we balance our masculine and feminine traits in our personal and professional life? I know we've given a few different examples, but can we elaborate on
Yeah,
how?
one of the things that come to mind for me is, I love showing houses. I love that part of it and looking at all the beautiful houses and all the beautiful things. And then, there's the other part to it when it comes to writing the contract or negotiating. And so it's just knowing the law for me is has been so helpful. Just knowing that that law exists and knowing, okay, this is the feminine part of the job, me showing and everything. And then when it comes to negotiating, I'm like, okay, this is the masculine part of it. This is the grind and the grit part of it that I'm getting into. And it's actually, my job has become more fun because just from knowing, that that law exists, I've been just playing with it. And, in my mind, okay, I got to do this. This is the feminine part. Now I got to do this. This is the masculine part. Let's go.
Oh, that's so awesome. It's kind of like
Yeah.
I envision you like with some dials, you're like turning up the dial. Okay, gotta get more into my feminine. Okay, now time to dial that back and get into my masculine, right?
That's exactly,
That's so great.
I know I try to start my day in the feminine so that I can feel inspired by the things that I'm working on and working towards. And that helps me be able to get into the masculine without feeling like any type of overwhelm. about doing my job, right? Because it is fairly masculine all the time. And then, like I said before, I'll take some breaks and I'll go and be into, get into the feminine mode again when I find that, okay, I'm just getting a little bit, I'm forgetting my focus, right? So that's what I do. Start my day that way. I end my day with the feminine as well. And that really helps me to have a really nice, peaceful sleep. I'm not going to bed thinking about work. I'm thinking about all the wonderful things that either happened that day or are coming up or going to happen. And so that helps me keep a good balance between the two.
I love that. I love how you start the day off nourishing yourself, right? And being in the feminine and being in the flow, the calm, the peaceful, like the meditative, the Zen sort of loving, calm, peaceful state. And then also ending your day like that too. I think that is so brilliant. And then to focus more on the masculine energies, like, during the day when, like, during work hours.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like, things like I journal every morning. I always am saying some things that I'm grateful for. I sit very quietly, either I meditate or I visualize. I don't always do both, but sometimes I will do both. So those are all kind of things that we've already talked about, things that we can do. But we're going to be going into more depth into some of those for the tool belts to help you get into that feminine mode that will help you be able to balance your life a bit more between the two, masculine and feminine.
Yeah, great point. I can't wait for us to start that series too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody else have anything they want to share about how we can balance our masculine and feminine traits? If not, we will move right along. And let me ask you, how do you think embracing both masculine and feminine qualities can enhance our personal growth and ability to manifest our goals?
I would just say the awareness of it, kind of like what Jennine was saying, just knowing of it. And I think it's just the awareness of when, because we know that we don't manifest from gripping. So if we're in that mode of the masculine of like, oh man, I got to get this done. Oh, I got to show this house. I got to whatever. And we're aware of it, then we can change it and then drop back down into, breathing, chanting, meditating, whatever exercise that is helpful to shift it. And then vice versa, right? If we've noticed that, haven't shown a house in a few weeks or something, right? And then it's like, okay, cool. Let's, how can I take some inspired action in order to do that? So I think it's really just the awareness of, right. And not without judgment.
I love that. I love that. Awareness is definitely key. And I think, it might be helpful to sort of get familiar with what types of actions are or behaviors are more masculine and which ones are more feminine, so that you can really start to understand what your personal day looks like, right? Like, what are masculine type energy actions for you? And what are feminine type actions for you? And learning how to balance those so you can start to, recognize what's happening in your day. And you can also balance it, but it's more personalized because it's you. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think just knowing, just like Amber said, the awareness, to me, the awareness has been so huge, because it helps me understand myself a lot more. and why I do this or why I don't like to do that. And, it just, the awareness of the law of gender and that it exists in everybody and everything, is huge. And it's been so helpful for me just to know that it's always there. There's always a masculine, there's always a feminine in everything. So it helps me understand, you know, especially myself, just so much better.
That's brilliant. And it just seems like I mean, we've talked about several different laws, and there's always like two. Do you know what I mean? There's always opposing and things that are all coming together to make things a whole, right?
Yeah,
So
like the law of polarity.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and they're very similar with, with the exception of law of polarity not having or, concentrating on the feminine and the masculine.
yeah,
But there's always opposite. There's always
exactly.
opposite. Yeah.
And understanding that it takes both to
Yep.
create,
Yeah.
to make the world
Yeah.
go round, right? Like it takes all of it to make
Yeah.
what it is that we are experiencing right now.
Yeah. And it's up to us to figure out, how to balance that for our lives, we all have different stuff going on at different times. And it's in just the awareness of the laws and knowing, helps us direct our lives, much better. Just knowing that, okay, there's always opposite, there's always masculine, there's always feminine, you know, and whatever I'm doing right now, whether it's, working outside in the garden, and, knowing when to stop or, even just stopping and taking a drink of water to me helps balance it because that's the feminine side of, me putting the seeds in the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Just sort of
100%.
reminded me as you were talking there about, we can manifest something purely from being in the masculine and do all the time. It just ends up being so rigid, and sometimes it could be to the point where it's not really fun because all you're doing is just work, 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 work. And I think knowing that you have this feminine side that you can use to help you manifest in a softer way. Yes, you still have to do something, you have to take action, but having this nice soft side where, I'm visualizing my outcomes of all the things that I want to manifest in my life. And that helps me take the inspired action, right? Being grateful for the things that I have and the things that are on their way allows my vibration to rise so that I can get on that same frequency and vibration to be able to manifest those. And I think that that's just where knowing that we can use these two tools, they're tools to manifest and do it with so much more ease than what I think society has told us. Oh, you just have to work, 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 you're gonna work to 12, 14, 20 hours a day so that you can, manifest your dreams. Well, you don't need that. You need both.
Yeah.
Right?
It's more laid back versus like the go, 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 like you said, and almost like the forcing and like it's gonna happen. And I mean, that's great that you have that much conviction, but like when you're struggling and you're hustling and you're grinding, I mean, that's exhausting, right? So of course you're gonna need to take action. Nothing gets done without any action, right? But implementing that feminine side, that ease, that flow, it just kind of allows that vehicle to go down the river, that much smoother, right? Like maybe it gave you a little oar or something rather than going down.
Yeah, exactly. A nice boat, not too wavy.
Yeah.
But I guess you also have to remember that you can't just be in the feminine either.
Right.
You can't just be in the delulu all the
No.
time without
Yeah.
taking action. Yes, we want to
Yeah, that's
take
where it's helped
action.
me most.
Yeah,
You
we want
know?
to take action from the delulu, saying, okay, this is who who we need to be and what we need to do to get there. But we can't be in that all the time. We need,
Although it feels amazing and we want to be there all the time.
yes,
Yeah. But yeah, we do need to marry the action piece with that, right? Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Oh my gosh, we had such a great episode. Thank you so much for sharing all of your gold nuggets. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Million Gold Nuggets podcast. If you got value out of this episode or think someone would benefit from it, please hit the share button and don't forget to like and subscribe, and also click the bell icon so that you don't miss an episode. Until we meet again, remember, the journey to fulfillment is all about collecting those precious gold nuggets. Bye.